on the status of the military engagements and plans to improve the welfare of the forces.
The feeding, clothing, and accommodation facilities of our officers and men have continued to improve tremendously. This is partly because of our emphasis on close vision of projects and ensuring value for every shilling spent.
Addressing the congregants, the president started with acknowledging those that were executed from Kabale, Mbarara and Gulu during the Idi Amin regime, highlighting the events before the Tarehe Sita almost 10 years earlier.
The 3 people who were executed here in Kabale, we had others who were executed in Mbarara, Karhanga, then in Gulu, they executed Labeja and Obona.
He congratulated Ugandans upon the election and massively voting for the NRM. He noted that Kabale has played a role in his life as a family man, freedom fighter and president.
I started coming to Kabale in 1964 when we came to play cricket with Butobere. Then in 1979-80, we were coming here with Mama. We were coming to see him who was there. Then afterwards, we came to fight.
Museveni said that despite the fragmentation of the land in Kigezi, it is productive and should involve commercial agriculture, emphasizing irrigation and use of fertilizers, noting the 3 key priority areas of agriculture, tourism, and manufacturing.
We must have irrigation and the use of fertilizers in the whole of Uganda, including the Kigezi area.
Previous professionals. Previously commanded operations against Al-Shabaab.
Mr. President, we would like to find out whether you were a bowler or a batter in your cricket, but that is when we have that interview. Now, former presidential candidate Robert Kasmanti has asked to withdraw his petition in which he did challenge the election of President Yoweri Museveni as the Supreme Court convened to deliver a ruling in which the petitioner sought to ignite an audit of biometric voter verification records and election results transmission technology. Kasmanti asked to bow out.
Shortly after news filtered in that former presidential candidate Robert Kasmanti had applied to withdraw his petition, the Registrar of the Supreme Court called both parties to the chambers in order to give administrative guidance. The conclusion of the chamber proceedings was that the respondents should file their responses to the application to withdraw the petition and that court shall notify the series of this final decision either physically or through the court online platform. Chidio Wachuanka, the representative of the first respondent, President Yoweri Museveni, said they are not willing to object to the application, maintaining that their prayer is that the court dismisses the petition anyway.
We were ready for the hearing. If you were here the last time, we did make our arguments on the application. We filed voluminous responses to the application. So yes, we obviously will be affected. But at the end of the day, what we're asking the court to do is to dismiss the petition.
However, the representative of the Electoral Commission, Mwesigwa Rukutana, decried the act of withdrawing presidential petitions as it deprives the country of a chance to see major developments in jurisprudential evolution.
We had expected a precedent because we had guided the court in our submissions on how to treat this application. And if the Supreme Court pronounced itself on the matter, then as lawyers and the country would get precedents on how such an application should be handled. But this one will not come because now, though the ruling was ready, it couldn't be read because the petitioner, the applicant, has withdrawn both the petition and the application.
Although representatives of the petition declined to speak, the petitioner confirmed the withdrawal.
I knew that the court of the Supreme Court, if in any case granting me the application, which I had applied for, will need money. That's when I said, no, I withdrew the case.
In his application, Kasibante had prayed for the auditing of the biometric voter verification machines and the election results transmission technology.
Now the court has asked us to go back.
Interesting observation from the petitioner there. Now, let us just examine grounds cited by the National Peasants Party member and presidential candidate it is, Robert Kasibante, in his petition challenging President Yoweri Museveni's re-election victory. Kasibante's petition outlines several concerns. Let's just get to those in a minute, shall we? Kasibante asked the Supreme Court to order the Electoral Commission to hand over key documents. Now, those include a full list of polling stations, certified DRA forms from every polling station, permission to inspect and conduct forensic analysis on the electronic result transmission system, and tallying software. That's not all. But those are very, very interesting ones there. Then Kasibante asked Supreme Court on matters of violence, voter bribery, the misuse of state resources. He also accuses the ruling party of the same. Kasibante also claims that the government resources meant for national development were misused for Museveni's campaign, giving him an unfair advantage. That will require, or could have required, some proof. The defense argument breakdown. What was the defense saying? It says there was electoral malpractice. We're talking voter violence and bribery. The defense was supposed to defend themselves against those. The misuse of state resources and manipulation of the Electoral Commission record. So we were going to see how the defense was going to put up a defense against these particular ones. But now the petitioner says, well, it requires money, and I don't have it. So let's go further down this very line. Where we're now going to go is in his application, Kasibante had asked the Supreme Court to order the Electoral Commission to hand over key documents, and that's the list that I enumerated down there. But going ahead, it's the history of the petitions, presidential petitions in Uganda here, that I would like us now to get into, because it's also a very important one, because they've been recurring as a theme since the country returned to multi-party democracy in 2005. So let's take a look at how these petitions have been over time. First, there was the Kizza Besigye one in 2001. I don't know how many of you were born at the time. We've been around. Then the Kizza Besigye versus Yoweri Museveni in 2006. Then pulled out of the court. It's the one that ended in the court of public opinion after it left the regular courts. Then Robert Kasibante versus Yoweri Museveni, and that's the one that has been withdrawn out of the court system. So we wait to see, is this the end of petitions, or shall we see something else? But for now, let's just go back to the performance of the UPDF, which came out of the NRA. So tonight on NBS Live at 9, we explore the remarkable transformation of the Uganda People's Defense Forces, a journey worth attention from a military born out of a rebellion, some even call them guerrillas, in the 1980s, to a multifaceted force, professional force driving national development and regional development. Here is that journey.
The 1980s saw the birth of a new army, the National Resistance Army, that seized power in 1986 with a mission to rebuild a nation ravaged by conflict.
And that I will preserve and defend the Constitution.
Led by President Museveni, the army was launched 44 years ago, prioritizing security, stability, and reconstruction.
It is the deliberate policy of our movement to ensure that we uplift, to ensure
that we uplift the quality of the politics of our country.
The National Resistance Army was later renamed the Uganda People's Defence Force following the enactment of the 1995 Constitution of Uganda.
Shake a hand.
UPDF's primary focus was the conflict with the Lord's Resistance Army, a rebel group that was operating in northern Uganda. But before the Constitution Amendment in 1995, a lot of reconstruction and rebranding was going on, especially from the 1990s. The renaming of the army meant shifting focus from fighting to nation building. Since then, they have been engaged in the construction of roads across the country, schools and hospitals, while contributing to regional peacekeeping and stabilization, as well as supporting regional allies. Today, UPDF is a professional force excelling in peacekeeping in Somalia in their counterterrorism efforts, DRC, and operations in South Sudan. They have embraced technology, enhancing security and service delivery. The UPDF contributes heavily to healthcare, offering free medical camps and wealth creation, taking lead in Operation Wealth Creation and disaster relief and humanitarian assistance, especially in Bugisu and Rwenzori disaster-prone areas.
I'm glad and happy that what I heard about when I was still very young, in 1979, from Captain Robert Kagata Namiti, is now happening. It has been long overdue. So we pray that UPDF keeps transforming and metamorphosing so that now the country can see a force that is able to develop and participate in development activities, not only in fighting and shedding blood.
That's the reason why most of refugees are flocking in the country, because they are guaranteed of their safety. Always within the borders of Uganda, Uganda is chosen first because we are sure of safety and security. And that is one of the strongest pillars for investment, for everything to happen in a country. So I want to salute them. I want to thank the CDF for its contribution into ensuring that the army, the People's Army, is first of all ranked as the best army across the entire Africa.
Despite challenges, UPDF's for Strategic Studies estimated the UPDF had a total strength of 40,000 to 45,000, consisting of land forces and an air wing. But recruitment to the forces is done annually, meaning numbers have increased. But as Uganda grows, so does UPDF's role in shaping the nation's future, a story of transformation, dedication, and service to the countrymen and women.
As they say, Viva UPDF, lest we forget the sacrifices of those who wear the uniform to keep us safe. Now let's go back to that conversation about electoral petitions and their withdrawal. And I do have Councillor Jude Bemukama to join me in this conversation. Councillor, if you may, somebody goes to court, you'd hope that they are serious when they go there, but then they find out they don't have the money of what it takes. What's the cost to the country of these withdrawals?
Of course, Samson, a presidential election petition is a very expensive undertaking, not just on the part of the litigants, that is the person who files the petition, but also on the part of the court. First of all, you have 7 or 9 justices have to come together to hear it. That means the entire business of the Supreme Court is put aside. The Constitution of this country requires that a presidential election petition must be given priority over the entire business of the Supreme Court.
True.
So that means the criminal cases that are there, the other ordinary civil cases that are there, everything else takes a back seat so that the presidential election petition is heard. So the entire human resource of the Supreme Court is placed at the disposal of parties who are in a presidential election petition.
Okay. Very interesting. Those of us who are not lawyers, the basic explanation is you prepare to go and marry a girl to be introduced at her parents, they prepare, then oops, on the day you say, oh, well, I'm not coming.
Yeah.
So what explains this? First it was Kyagulanyi went to court, got out, said he's going to the court yard and to court of public opinion. Now it is Kasibante. What explains this? Is it just classic seriousness, or is there more?
I think it's a mixture of things. When we consider what happened in 2021, Honorable Kyagulanyi chose to withdraw his petition after a ruling declined to permit him to rely on over 100 affidavits that had been filed outside the court fixed deadline of exceeded by around 1 or 2 days. What that meant was that the evidence which he wanted to support his petition had not been allowed to make its way onto the court record. And therefore, it didn't make a lot of sense for him to continue arguing a petition that is not supported by any evidence. Now, in the case of presidential candidate Kasibante, it does not look to me that he filed this petition intending to last the entire length. First of all, the petition was hurriedly filed barely 2 days after declaration of a winner. That could only mean that either he was extremely well prepared and had done this petition, had been preparing this petition when others were looking for votes, or this was simply a hurriedly put together petition that was never intended to be serious.
Probably it's the latter more than the former, now that we know the end. Isn't this setting a bad precedent that the next time these petitions show up, there will be a section of the public that thinks, usual unseriousness?
Yeah, obviously, this kind of conduct casts serious doubt on the seriousness of petitions of this kind. And maybe it's also good to revisit the debate on how many people should be permitted by law to be on the ballot for president.
Okay.
The minimum qualifications and criteria for a person to be candidate perhaps also need to be looked into. Because for me, this does not look to be a petition that was designed to raise complaints and last the entire distance.
Okay.
If you file a petition within 2 days and then barely 20% into the petition, you decide to withdraw it, and from what we are reading, with the flimsiest of reasons, cost, that it's very expensive. Didn't he know that before he filed the petition?
Probably he found out.
So obviously, I don't know, but I'm afraid that there is a sense in which someone could say this looks like an abuse of the court process.
What I can guarantee you is that to appear on this show, you have to be extremely serious, and that's why you appear, and some people don't. Thank you very much, Council Jude Byamukama there with a very brilliant face. And over to matters organizing Kampala. It is the Lord Mayor-elect, Engineer Ronald Barimwezo, that has criticized the Kampala Minister Hajat Minsa Kabada over the directive that evicts street vendors, border riders, and taxi operators from the city. Engineer Barimwezo says that leaders are supposed to plan and organize the city rather than harass and chase away people. He says there's a need to remove people from the city, and the minister is required to consult Kampala Capital City Authority and not make unilateral decisions.
The Lord Mayor-elect Ronald Barimwezo Nsubuga has called on the KCCA committee responsible for physical planning to intervene following remarks by the Kampala minister suggesting that after the election period, traders, border riders and taxi operators should vacate the city. Balimwezo expressed his dissatisfaction while speaking in Mutungo at a press conference he held together with KCCA councillors. He said that KCCA is the only body with the authority to pass resolutions on what should be done in Kampala and that the minister must consult the KCCA council. Failure to do so, he said, amounts to overstepping her mandate.
The Lord Mayor has his mandate. The ED has a mandate of implementing the policies made by council. What the minister is actually doing, it's an illegality.
He further stated that evicting people from the city, including border riders, street vendors and taxi operators, without guiding them on where they are supposed to relocate is wrong, since these people are workers.
And our role as leaders is to make sure that we create smart environment for them to be able to do business in the city. That's our role. Unfortunately, the minister is making statements out of the law.
Balimwezo and the councillors resolved to formally petition the Speaker of KCCA Council, Zahara Luyidika, to urgently convene a council meeting to discuss measures to assist Kampala residents.
Point in which we get into feedback for the evening. Your responses: what or how best can government ensure that World Bank funds are not misused? That's a story that's coming later. But this is what he said: arrest, imprison, and deny bail and impound property of anyone found accused of embezzlement, corruption, and mismanagement of public funds. We need to be aggressive and extremist while handling such culprits. This way, everyone will lose appetite for corruption. I think that's something there. Prosecute publicly sanction officials involved in misuse of funds, including asset recovery and dismissal, to create real deterrence and zero tolerance for corruption and public financing. And finally, transparency and independent audits, strict procurement procedures, and proper monitoring and evaluation, enforcement, and anti-corruption laws. In a brief, abantu banyivu.
More to come.
Morocam, the PFF is saying they are not going to join tea parties and Kodak moments, even though they do have 2 members of parliament who are in the 12th parliament. That story is coming back. Expect Omlodi to be speaking in that story. The outgoing mayor of Kampala, so to speak. That's the story coming back right after.
I want to be an engineer. I want to be a chef. I want to be a mechanic. I want to be a musician. I want to be a basketballer.
Cranbrook International School is a school where you will see people from around the world. It's diverse. You will have the opportunity to experience things you've never experienced before. We have highly skilled teachers and a comfortable environment that does not pressure but eases the minds of students to help them into their future careers. Our school integrates art, culture, history, language, and performing arts. Our hearts and minds without provocation and intimidation. This is home. Let's keep it safe. Let's talk peace.
Today is a good day to draw up a new play. So start something. Make your move and get in your groove. Do it for the gram. Do it for the culture. Be loud. Be extra. Be a thinker. A life eater. A Tusker light drinker. Start something. Turn on your lights. Tusker lights.
Buy genuine Decra roofing tiles, the original stone-coated alu-zinc steel roofing system from New Zealand. Choose from Heritage, Milano, Shingo, Shake and Classic profiles with a variety of colors and a 50-year warranty. Only available at Depot Uganda. Telephone 0776 898 888 or 0758 853 285. Depot Uganda. Tried, tested and trusted.
This Valentine's Day, love knows no limits. Boundless love and Ensonga z'omukwano at Lake Victoria Serena Golf Resort and Spa. Feel the magic as legends Maddox Sematimba and Jamal Waswa serenade the night. Plus, step back in time with Rasta Rob MC and the Twins. Crown the night in our luxurious rooms from $165 single or $185 double. Tickets go for 1 million shillings for a platinum couple and 2.8 million for a group of 6 and includes a sumptuous steak dinner with house wine. Tickets available now at cricket.co.ug. Brought to you by Lake Victoria Serena Golf Resort and Spa in partnership with Capital FM and Mosaic Marketing Collective.
You will always know when you're in the presence of the finest. It's like time slows down, just enough for you to feel everything in full flavor.
Tusker Malt Lager. Alcohol is not for sort of persons under 18. Please drink responsibly.
Stop! Time for inspection. What do we have here? It looks like you didn't hear about Movit Back to School promotion. Students, tell him!
Buy and win in the new term, new you. Back to school promotion. Buy any of our focus products. Movit All Day Toothpaste, Movit Herbal Jelly, Movit Baby Jelly, and Movit Shower Gel worth 5,000 Uganda shillings and you win a pen. Buy products worth 25,000 shillings to 44,000 Uganda shillings and you win a mathematical set or lunchbox. And when you buy products worth 45,000 Uganda shillings and above, you win a school bag and many more prizes. Terms and conditions apply. Movit All Day Confidence.
Welcome back. Thank you for watching NBS Live at 9. Let's continue with our stories this evening. The People's Front for Freedom says they will not join the Inter-Party Organisation for Dialogue despite having 2 members in the 12th Parliament, which qualifies them to be part of the body that brings together political parties with representation in Parliament.
The People's Front for Freedom, PFF, is among the few political parties to have sent legislators to the 12th Parliament after triumphing in the race for Hoima City Woman MP as well as Gulu City Woman MP. This qualifies the party and Act 2025. However, the PFF leadership insists they will not apply to be part of the farm, which PFF President Elias Lukwago describes as a cash exchange place.
They have turned it into a different outfit for just cash bonanza. We can't be part of that arrangement for just sharing the money. No way. We are above that.
Apart from just sharing the money, Lukwago says IPOD has since lost track despite having good intentions at the beginning and would be absurd for a party like PFF to join them.
IPOD got derailed. It has outlived its usefulness. It was meant to be a transient, a kind of a transition arrangement to usher in the much needed change. Unfortunately, they have turned it into a different outfit for just cash bonanza.
This comes as the party continues to evaluate itself and the results of the 2026 general elections, in which the party lost all but 2 contestations for the position of MPs across the country. This performance, the party believes, should not be the center of focus, as they describe the elections as sham and cannot be used to describe the status of the party.
This is not a PFF matter. There are other parties that presented candidates, they were successful, but they also cheated. So it didn't matter whether your candidates have performed badly or they have won elections. NRM was simply declaring NRM winners.
The party leadership believes their greatest loss in the 2026 elections was the failure to come up with a common front during the elections, with all the attempts becoming futile.
We did our best to bring together all the forces of change to galvanize all efforts behind a common agenda. Unfortunately, they didn't yield positive results. Up to the last minute, we had several engagements here, even outside the country, even a month to the polls. We had a meeting in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, over the same, to see to it that we come up with a common agenda, a common program, a united front, so that we confront the challenges of the day as a united front. Unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition.
Political scholars believe the PFF underperformance was attributed to the arrest and detention of Dr. Kanokeza Besigye, who is said to be the pillar and foundation of the party, a chain they must break if they are to break forth and establish ground within Uganda's political space.
If you formed a political party based on the personality of Dr. Kanokeza Besigye, if he is not present today, they need to think, how do we build an institution based on either its ideology, based on issues, based on its own identity, rather than based on the wish that Dr. Kanokeza Besigye will always be there to help the party grow.
Formed in 2025 ahead of the 2026 elections, PFF has put emphasis on fight for freedom, especially for political prisoners, as well as the democratic freedom of the country.
Maokota South legislator and FDC whip in Parliament, Yusuf Nsimbambi, has confirmed leading a delegation of opposition leaders to meet with President Museveni at State House Entebbe on Thursday. In an exclusive interview with NBS, Nsimbambi said the meeting focused on issues of political prisoners, including Butambara County Member of Parliament Mohammed Mwanga Chvumbi, who was arrested and charged with terrorism following the January 15 general election. Nsimbambi emphasized that the meeting was not a deal-making exercise, but rather an effort to find a peaceful way to resolve conflicts and address concerns about the treatment of opposition figures.
A delegation of opposition politicians led by Maokota South MP, who is also the FDC whip in Parliament, Yusuf Nsimbambi, met with President Museveni at State House Entebbe on Thursday to discuss national stability and reconciliation following the January 2026 general elections.
So yesterday, when I led that delegation of 17 people, the picture is showing just a few politicians.
MP Yusuf Nsimbambi says the meeting was about peace and reconciliation for the development and stability of the country, more especially after the general elections that left some people's tempers high.
You see what happened during election. People are crying foul, others are fighting, homes are being destroyed, the youth are not employed. You find many people are languishing in prison. Maybe they are not even innocent. So they are innocent, they don't know what's going on. So I think it is our duty and responsibility as senior citizens and politicians to talk.
Nsimbambi revealed that the issue of hundreds of political prisoners was a top priority, with the delegation seeking a presidential pardon.
For him, he believes that politicians in the opposition are creating a situation of almost civil strife. They are misleading the youth. They are fighting government programs. And he said he does not enjoy seeing people incarcerated. But you see, there's no alternative according to him, because people are talking about banning cities, petrol stations.
The delegation also raised concerns about the incarceration of Butambala County MP Muhammad Muwanga Chivumbi, urging the president to order a thorough investigation into the matter rather than consuming the existing propaganda.
And I suggested that maybe we should have an inquest, because the security is giving a different story. The narrative must be based on actual facts, not propaganda which is political. And I believe, which I must state here, that the approach taken as a matter of legal strategy by the lawyers is wrong. I think this thing is basically political.
Responding to criticism about meeting the president without consulting other opposition members, Nsibambi says, no one sent me to the opposition.
No one sent me there. I left Makerere University as a lecturer, but I've been in activism from UID, the formation of UID at Makerere, myself, Rwakafuzi, Mugabe, the wife of the late Dr. Chigundu, Mai Chigundu, who were there then.
According to our sources, some opposition legislators and politicians that met the president include MP Okot Bitek, Mityana South MP Richard Lomo, Mokona South MP Kayondo, and the former MP of Kasesa Municipality Robert Centenary, among others.
Moving on, government has streamlined all World Bank funding of agencies to channel through Office of the Prime Minister for effective supervision and to thwart the duplication of services in government. State Minister for Relief and Disaster Preparedness Lillian Abear disclosed that the resolution has been passed in Cabinet, waiting approval of Parliament.
United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is the line agency responsible for refugee interventions, and money from World Bank has been channeled through different ministries and agencies, which has affected service delivery.
One of the key resolutions is that we are going to establish a coordination center where all these agencies that are receiving funding from World Bank must have one coordination center under the Office of the Prime Minister. We need to know NGO A is doing ABCD, so that we don't have duplications of same funding from the World Bank going into the different NGOs, and they're doing the same activity, yet we don't have enough resources.
State Minister for Disaster Preparedness and Refugees disclosed the World Bank is concerned with some programs failing to start at initial stages, regardless of the billions of money released.
So we are now trying to bridge the gap of some of the issues that made other ministries to slow down in the implementation. For example, issues of electricity in these camps was not implemented on time.
However, Caps Fungaro, MP-elect Obongi County, has called for a total review of social and economic challenges affecting refugee host communities for easy planning and supervision for effective service delivery.
Right now, we have in the medical sector an organization called MTI, Medical Teams International. It has laid off 120 health workers out of 149, leaving 29 remaining out of 149 health workers. There are many health units without staff. Patients are left stranded.
Other concerns discussed between the World Bank and the Office of the Prime Minister was the second phase of the implementation of the development response to the displacement impact project.
This money is meant to support healthcare system, to support infrastructure like roads, and also schools, and support teachers, and also their agricultural aspects of ensuring that they are sustainable.
Continuing with the politics, Dr. Lina Zedriga, the Deputy President for Northern Uganda of the National Unity Platform, who has been missing for a month, has appeared before the Gulu Chief Magistrate Court, where she pleaded not guilty to the charges preferred against her. The 68-year-old Zedriga appeared before the Chief Magistrate, Augustine Alure, where she was charged with inciting violence contrary to the Section 79(1) of the Penal Code Act and remanded until February 17. She had no legal representation at the time she was presented to court, and the Chief Magistrate remanded her to Gulu Main Prison. Prosecution alleges that in December 2025, while at various locations in northern Uganda, including Gulu, Amuru, Omoro and Noya districts, Dr. Zedriga incited members of the public to commit acts of violence, specifically to attack supporters of the national resistance movement based on their political opinion. And now back to the ruling party, Busia district is celebrating a strong NRM performance in the 2026 general elections after and therefore worth celebrating.
In the just concluded 2026 general elections, the NRM presidential candidate Yoweri Kaguta Museveni registered a significant improvement in Busia compared to the previous polls. From about 46% in 2021, the party this time secured 65% of the presidential vote in the district. Following this performance, district NRM leaders have taken the celebrations to the grassroots. Led by the national NRM treasurer Barbara Nikesa Owundo, the party leadership moved across various sub-counties in the district to thank communities for their overwhelming support. In the sub-counties of Masafu and Bulumbi, the treasurer donated a school minibus as a gesture of appreciation to the community for their support. Beyond the presidential victory, the NRM also secured 4 parliamentary seats in the district, losing only 1. Party leaders say the win was hard-earned and therefore worth celebrating.
But given the new developments that Uganda and the NRM programs, for say PDM and the Myoga Youth Livelihood Fund, where the government has benefited a number of the youth in Masafu Town Council, really changed the phenomenon of election. The issues of the lake, the issues of the forest, the issues of the border, smuggling and all those, then the issues of the actions of the police, how they are not doing their work very well. All these, when you could combine them, it would all be heaped on NRM.
Tomorrow, the district is set to host an appreciation ceremony to recognize individuals who played a key role in mobilizing support for the president.
So, Muchara.
Yes, Daddy.
You know the children are going back to school and things are a bit tight. Huh? For now, why don't you take half of the fees to junior school, and for the school van contribution, we shall pay later. Huh?
Daddy, why don't we pay using MTN Momo, where we stand a chance of winning school fees for a whole year and more? By the way, you can also apply for a school fees loan, and also participating schools can win a school van.
That's right! Win school fees for a whole year and more. Get more goodies and a school van for participating schools. You can also apply for a school fees loan. Simply dial *165*80# or use the Momo app.
It's
It's back, bigger, and with more business opportunities. It's the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, Poate 2026, Uganda's flagship tourism event. Poate 2026 will take place from the 21st to the 23rd of May 2026 at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo, under the theme Wanderlust. It's your time to thrive. Yes, it's your time to tap into Uganda's renewed optimism and tourism growth. Tourism stakeholders, travel trade partners, and tourism enthusiasts will be part of the Poate 2026. Come and network with like-minded people and unlock new business opportunities. To participate, register at www.poate.co.ug. Poate 2026 is brought to you by Uganda Tourism Board and partners.
In today's world, opportunity is digital. Is your education keeping pace? At Cavendish University, Uganda, we don't just use technology, we're built around it. Our state-of-the-art digital portal and our world-class public health laboratories are your launchpad, because here we focus on one outcome: your success. We equip you with in-demand digital skills, critical thinking, and real-world experience. We don't just award degrees, we prepare you for gainful employment and entrepreneurship globally. Enroll with Cavendish University Uganda this semester. Registration is ongoing. Cavendish University Uganda. Your success begins here.
Hey, travelers! Are you a family gearing up for that big vacation, a hustler working abroad coming home, or your squad chasing sunsets and passport stamps? It's time you lock in. Say goodbye to long airport queues, shocking roaming bills, and the stress of hunting for local SIM cards, because now you can travel like a local. Stay connected in over 180 countries. Just scan, tap, and boom! Instant data the moment you reach your destination. Get your Rogue Travel eSIM today at travel.roguetelcom.co.ug. Contact us on 020-5000123.
Looking for a vacation of a lifetime? Cross the equator and discover Pineapple Bay Resort. Enjoy exceptional life's luxuries. Spend quality time with family, friends, or even that special someone. Get in touch with nature with our range of outdoor activities. The calming tranquility of water, breathtaking views, moving memories around campfires. It's all here. Plus, a club experience like no other at Pineapple Bay Clubhouse. It's a whole vibe. You can hire any of our 3 VIP cruise boats for groups of 10, 14, or 25 people. Or you can cruise out with swag on a luxury yacht for 12 people. Our premium boats are all safety compliant. Make your next vacay an all-round experience at Pineapple Bay, located on Bulago Island, right in the midst of Lake Victoria. Talk to us today.
This PDM is to get all of you out of poverty. That's why we said 100 million per parish per year.
The parish development model is designed to eradicate poverty by providing the support necessary for financial independence.
We have seen how 1 million, how much 1 million can do. The whole of Uganda is very rich. So what you call poverty is actually ignorance. We need everybody to come up.
Let us all take advantage of the conducive prevailing atmosphere of political stability, peace and security to ensure that all our people come out of poverty.
And I've told the banks to stop deducting from the 1 million. You must get the 1 million full. The government is the one which will pay the bank charges.
Now the number of stools in this Matoke enterprise are 1,000. They are on 1 acre. And we harvest 17 bunches every day. The money that we get from this Matoke, after selling each bunch at 15,000 shillings, for the whole year, we get 91.9 million shillings. So I want to encourage all the people of Teso also to change the mindset and adopt to new crops which were not traditionally grown here.
tuwadde omukisa guno ate ne MTN okuba nti esasulidde omwana fees ez'omwaka omulamba ebe tutikudde omugugu era kuba sente ezo ziba nyingi nnyo.
Sasula school fees ng'okozesa momo onyiga star emu mukaaga ttaano star 80 hash ng'osasula school fees w'omwana wo essomero nga liwangula school van naawe bw'oba kwegamba nga embeera ekukuttemu ng'ofuna school fees loan weewaawo.
Well, let's jump onto the business desk this evening. DFCU Bank has launched the School Fizz Weight Off campaign aimed at easing the pressure that comes with reopening schools for the term one. Senior officials at the bank say back-to-school season is often one of the most financially demanding periods for families and schools, and thus this campaign is responding to the plight of its customers.
For many families, the start of term one comes with heavy financial demands, school fees, uniforms, books and transport all required at once. Schools too need cash upfront to reopen smoothly. DFCU Bank says its school fees weight off campaign is designed to ease the burden for parents, schools and education partners across the country. According to DFCU, term one is the most challenging period financially, coming right after the festive season when many households are still recovering.
So DFCU school fees weight off our campaign is a way of easing that kind of pressure. So we are helping parents, we are helping schools, but also the education partners to manage their costs of reopening through flexible payments, affordable financing, insurance, but also we are also giving them rewards at the end of it.
Schools are also benefiting from the campaign through financing solutions that support operations during reopening, as well as insurance cover for school property, vehicles, staff, and students.
So what we've done through this campaign is that we are supporting schools with financing up to 500 million to help them with the operations. But on top of just financial support, we are also offering insurance cover to protect them against their properties, vehicle, staff, and students. And to encourage reinvestment, we are schools that will grow their collections or take up insurance. They stand a chance to win up to 5 million library stock-ups.
Suppliers within the education sector, including bookshops, uniform providers, transport and caterers, are also part of the initiative with the access to the LPO financing, asset financing and vehicle loans.
So what we are doing with them to support them, we are offering them solutions like the LPO financing, that's a local purchase order, where they get us a pro forma invoice from the school that is ordered. We can use that and give them affordable loans or financing on that. But also we go ahead and give them what we call asset financing and vehicle financing, where in case they want to purchase vehicles and they don't have enough money, we can provide them those finances to purchase the assets or the vehicles they want, so that they're able to meet their cash demands, so that and they're not disrupting their cash flows.
Well, Well, now let's go into the markets, rather the forex. Now, the shilling was relatively stable as markets went into a wait-and-see mode ahead of the monetary policy announcement. Let's have a look at those numbers in particular, where the currency, the US dollar rather, was buying 3,554.36 against the shilling, while it was selling at 3,564.36. The British pound, on the other hand, it was buying at 4,830.73 and selling at 4,845.39. Now the euro was buying at 4,192.01 and selling at 4,204.16. Regionally, the Kenyan shilling was buying at 27.53, 27.65 selling. The Tanzanian shilling, on the other hand, was buying there at 1.36 and selling at 1.39. This currency movement since the last CBR is hard to ignore and will be a key factor in a formulation of the central bank policy action and in assessment of the macrofinance backdrop, especially as this inflationary impulse remains intact, including a bullish shilling. It is our view that the rate cut could be in play, but only by a whisker. Well, looking there at our commodity prices, particularly the annual energy fuel inflation, passenger air transport, looking at January and December 2025 there, 12% more expensive at 8.8% there. That's the inflation when it comes to the air transport, which means that you possibly could have been paying much more money for your flight tickets. I for sure have noticed that as well, that we've been paying a lot more there when it comes to the flight tickets, as you can see there in 2025. Looking there at the passenger road transport, that includes your buses and some of the taxis that you're using. The prices in December 2025 look like it had gone down, which is good news for you, down at 3.8%, while in January stood still and pretty stable there at 0.0%. No inflationary highs or lows on the passenger road transport. That's the annual energy fuel inflation. Now, moving on from that, the microfinance support has crashed out about 660 million shillings to selected 33 emyogas. That is cashed out 66 million to selected 33 emyoga SACCOs in Kasanda district. Now, this recording to officials from the Microfinance Support Center is part of the additional seed capital extended to SACCOs each year. Now, the officials tasked emyoga beneficiaries to enhance savings and investment to further boost their income at house and SACCO levels.
Kasanda district is primarily an agrarian rural community thriving on subsistence agriculture and small-scale businesses. Majority of the households earn a living from this subsistence way of life. With the emyoga program, the economically less privileged members of Kasanda district community can now afford basic needs. Carpenters, beauticians, elected leaders, and border riders, among others, have since taken a positive path in fighting poverty using emyoga seed capital. To intensify this drive, the Microfinance Support Center has cashed out 660 million shillings to 33 selected emyoga SACCOs in Kasanda as additional seed capital.
Today, all the people that were invited here are the benefiting SACCOs, 33 in total, which are going to receive additional seed capital, each SACCO, and the total amount will be 660 million shillings, and each SACCO will be entitled to receive 20 million shillings. All these SACCOs that we are here today, all the applications were approved. Actually, some of the SACCOs have already received the money on their account.
Kasanda District authorities led by Assistant RDC Saulo Kitio say they are putting emphasis on monitoring SACCO performances to wipe out unfairness and irregularities in finance management by SACCOs managers. Emyoga Program Master Brian Abdul Bisaso and Kasanda MP-elect hailed the program contribution towards improving household incomes.
So we encourage all beneficiaries to utilize the money very well. Utilize the money very well. This money is not for government, it is your money, but we expect you to use it as planned, as guided, as taught by the microfinance support staff.
The beneficiary circles include Bukuya County local leaders, Bukuya County market vendors, Bukuya County performing artists, Bukuya County PWDs, Bukuya County produce dealers, Bukuya County restaurant owners, Bukuya County salon operators, and Bukuya County welders, among others. The government has committed to enhancing Emyoga funding to at least 100 billion shillings, in which every circle is entitled to receive 20 million shillings additional seed capital.
Business Pulse.
Well, we went from all our top stories into the interviews, into business, into the weather. That brings us to the end of this evening at NBS Live at 9. Samson and myself are ready to start our weekend. Meanwhile, you can go ahead and catch up.